Hey everybody, my name's Austin, and if you found yourself on this channel, then you found a great place to soak up a lot of great knowledge on real estate, entrepreneurship, or business in general. Today, we're in one of my rental properties, and we're going to discuss the do's and don'ts of rental renovations, remodels, rehabs. Pick your favorite term, they all mean the same thing. This video could easily save you hundreds, if not thousands of dollars on remodeling your rental property. Alright, now there's one main concept you need to understand because it will dictate which things may or may not be the right improvement for your particular property. The concept we're talking about is the class of neighborhood you're in. So what is a neighborhood class? Well, classes are ranked as an A, B, C, or D neighborhood. A being the highest ranking, D being the lowest. Now, determining what class a property falls under involves several important physical and financial characteristics. Some of these attributes typically include the location, age, condition of the property, crime rates in the area, and appreciation potential. Now let's go over the characteristics of each. There's no set in stone scale or rubric for what determines which class, but it'll usually be something pretty similar in all areas, and it'll look something like this. Class A properties are the newest and best maintained homes and more expensive ends of town within a local market. Class A properties typically attract tenants and buyers who can afford the higher, more luxurious cost of living. These properties typically command a premium price due to their access to desirable locations or amenities. Class A homes are typically built within the last 10 years or so. They see great appreciation, have little to no crime in the area, and the condition is well maintained with little to no evident physical issues. Now, Class B properties are well built and well maintained, usually medium-sized homes. These are often located in neighborhoods close to schools or shopping areas and are often occupied by middle to upper middle income families with children. Class B homes are usually 10 to 30-ish years old. They see good appreciation. They're in lower crime areas, but they may have some signs of wear or maintenance needed. Now, Class C properties are older homes. They're often resided by middle-income families or senior citizens that have lived in their house for many years. These homes are reasonably well kept and are usually located in more mature areas of town. Class C homes are typically 30 years old or older. They see marginal appreciation, sometimes lower appreciation. They may see some crime in the areas, and they might be in need of some repairs. Now, Class D properties, they're older homes that are usually located in areas of high crime and violence. These properties can often need significant repairs, and they're often occupied by lower income families. Class D homes are typically older homes that see little to no or even negative appreciation. They are in high crime areas and they usually need major repairs due to neglect. Now, quick side note, guys, I don't really ever recommend Class D neighborhoods for investments because you open yourself to a lot more risk, turnover, damage to your property, and you lose out on one of the biggest upsides to real estate, which is appreciation. Now that's a topic for another video, but for that reason, we will only be referencing A, B, and C neighborhoods in this video. Of this particular property, it's a little bit older of a neighborhood, kind of middle class though. It's roughly a C home is what I would call it, maybe a C plus. You'll see people with neighborhood ratings that give a plus or a minus. You know, if a property's not quite a B, but it's also not as low as a C, it might be a B minus or a C plus. Again, there's no structure for this rating system. It's kind of just loosely, it kind of depends on your area some. So you'll see the pluses and minuses added in there also to kind of give a little bit more accurate of an idea of what property you have. There are certain upgrades or replacements you should do on a Class A home, but not on a Class B or C home. Similarly, there are improvements that could be done on a Class C neighborhood, but are probably not the best idea for a Class A home. The biggest deciding factor for this is you got to calculate your return on investment for the improvement. If you're already an investor, you should know this term, but if not, let's do a quick overview for those that don't know. Return on investment, or ROI, is as simple as it sounds. It's how much money you get back or in return for investing your money into something. You calculate your ROI when you buy a property to determine how good of a purchase it will be as a rental, and you can calculate ROI on the improvements of your home also, or anything you put your money into for that matter. ROI is calculated on an annual term. People usually like to see a 12 to 20% return on a rental property purchase, depending on your location in the country. Now, sometimes that percentage could be lower or higher, but this means that they'll receive a 12% to 20% return on their initial investment or down payment back in a year's time on a rental property. You can use the same calculation on an improvement. So for an example, if an improvement costs $2,000, but it'll allow the property to bring in an extra $25 in rent per month, then you calculate your $25 times 12 months, because ROI is on an annual scale. So you get $300 more in rent per year for a $2,000 investment. $300 divided by 2,000 is 0.15 or 15%. So your ROI is 15% on that improvement. That's typically considered a good return pretty much anywhere in the US. So that improvement would be a good option to do. Now, the reason you want to calculate ROI on an improvement is because you don't want to spend thousands of dollars upgrading something that was fine to start with when it doesn't even change your rents at all. Now, this is completely different than repairing broken or faulty parts of the house. I'm not saying you shouldn't fix a broken window or repair an inoperable electric outlet or leave scratched up walls from the previous tenant. That would be considered the acts of a slumlord, and I don't advise anybody to be a slumlord. So I'm not talking about repairs. Understand, I'm talking about improvements. The best example of an improvement to start with is kitchen countertops. A common upgrade I see a lot of people wanting to make is upgrading to those fancy granite or marble countertops. In the majority of cases, this is an over improvement and it'll be a complete waste of money because spending thousands on granite or marble countertops will not actually increase the rent at all. Something like these premium laminate countertops, they come from basic box stores like Lowe's or Home Depot. They're perfectly fine for a rental. They look great, they're cost effective, and the tenant is completely happy with them. Now, an exception may be if you're in a Class A neighborhood, granite or marble countertops might be the norm in your area. So that's probably what you should have in your kitchen if you have one of those homes like that. A laminate countertop might actually stick out like a sore thumb in a very high-end neighborhood where potentially tenants are seeking luxury and they're willing to pay a price for it. So as you can see, knowing your class of property is very important to know so you can make the right choice on the right improvements for your particular rental property. Let's do one more real life example here in this particular home. And again, this is like a C or maybe a C+ neighborhood. It's kind of an older neighborhood, but it's pretty nice around here. Definitely not a Class D. So for this example, I'm going to show you guys the kitchen. Nothing crazy, but nice little kitchen. Got some extra room for a table and chairs over here. More space over there. So the improvement that we'll discuss here would be potentially adding a dishwasher in. Now, the layout here doesn't really allow for any good place to put a dishwasher. If we did add one over here, we'd have to add a bunch more cabinets, and that would just be a big mess and it'd throw off the layout of the room. But here's how we're going to calculate this. So let's say adding a dishwasher cost $1,000 installed. And let's assume that it'll bring in an extra $25 per month for this unit if it's got a dishwasher. Perhaps it's more desirable. Perhaps the other rental properties in the area don't offer dishwashers. So if it brings in an extra $25 per month, again, we calculate the ROI on an annual basis. So that $25 per month times 12 months gives us $300 in rent for the year at a cost of $1,000. 300 divided by the 1,000 gives us a 30% return on investment. So with those numbers right there, you should know 30% return on investment, that's great. Let's put the dishwasher in. Now, the only thing that you'll have to figure out for your property is you got to find the norm in your neighborhood. What's normal with the other rental properties? If we use our dishwasher example, do the other properties have dishwashers? If not, maybe that's a way that your property could stick out over the others. So these are kind of the things you got to think about when you're deciding on improvements for your particular property. Now there's one other way to go about this. First, we've already looked at improvements you could add that will raise your rents, give you a higher return on investment. The second part to consider, opposite of adding rent in, is how can you reduce your expenses? One example of this would be toilets. Now for those of you that don't know, there's 3 different drain sizes on a toilet. Usually they're 2, 3, or 4 inch. 4 inches you'll see at the stores, they advertise you can flush a basket of golf balls in one flush. Now, toilets is a great example because that's one thing I would recommend not cheaping out on, and I'll tell you why. Although a lot of you may have the responsibility of your tenant to take care of clogs, that can also be a headache, especially overflowing toilets. You get water on the ground, gets into the subfloor, yada, yada, yada. When it comes to toilets, I usually like to put at least a 3-inch drain toilet in for my rental properties. Unfortunately, tenants a lot of times, they're not going to care for a property like it's their own. They'll flush way too much down it, or even the people that do it by accident when they have a kid that'll flush a toy down the toilet. The reason I go for an upgraded drain on a toilet is if the 2 inches, they clog easy. That's your standard, cheap, off-the-shelf toilet. If you upgrade to a 3, it's going to drastically reduce the chance of that toilet clogging. If the toilet doesn't clog as much or at all, it's going to save you from overflows, toilets, tenant calls that want it to be your responsibility, things like that. So you'll actually get less of a headache, less phone call, and potentially less money in repairs if you spend just an extra $50 going with a little bit better graded toilet. But all right, guys, that's my video for rental renovations or remodels, do's and don'ts. Now, we just kind of scratched the surface with these. If you want to see more of this stuff on this particular topic, feel free to leave a comment below. Let me know. We can go over some more examples. And if you want to learn about something different or have any ideas or questions about rental properties, feel free to comment that. Just let me know your feedback. And if you guys wouldn't mind giving a like or subscribe to the channel if you want to learn more, it'd be a big help to me on this fresh start. Now, all that being said, thanks again for watching, and we'll see you guys in the next one.